This will be video number 18 in the 6-cycle oddball series, and today I'm going to show you how to make the governor bracket, and that's this piece here. It looks rather complicated, but it's actually quite simple to make, and I'll go through all the steps and I'll show you how to do it. We're going to start off with this piece of this is actually a piece of boat shaft. I think it's a type of bronze, and this is probably the last end of it. I had about 2 feet of this at one time, but I'm going to use this instead of brass. So you could actually make this out of steel if you wanted to. It doesn't matter what material you use. Steel would be fine. Brass is easier to machine. This is what I have, and so that's what I'm using. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is face it off, drill it, and bore and ream the 3/8 hole. So I'm going to drill in here about 3/4 of an inch. Now I'm just going to bore it to true it up, and then I'll go to the just under 3/8 drill and then ream it. This is a letter U drill. There's the reamed hole. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the middle here, and I have to get the dimensions on that off the print. I'm sure I can get deep enough with that bar. So what I'm going to do is bore out this part here, 3/4 of an inch diameter and 280 deep, and that'll be for the ears and I'll do the milling afterwards. But that should just save you milling all that out, and boring it's much easier. I'm going to set this for 280 deep. Just set the stop. There's 280. Now I'm going to bore it out to 3/4. Yeah, we're coming here. It's not quite 5/8. A ways to go. Another 100 to go. Ten more. That finishes the boring. The next thing I'm going to do is create this slot here. It's 3/16 wide, 187, and it's 279 deep. So the slot starts down here at 312, and that'll be the right-hand side of the slot. 1, 2, 3, 12. I'm going to double check it right there. So we're in what? Only in 60. So what I used here is a 1/8 inch cutoff tool, so I got to move it over 1/16, which is 62 thousandths, and finish the cut. Okay, that's it for that. Now we're going to move over to the milling machine. So I'm going to put a parallel down here to set that on, so it sits up pretty straight. And then I'm going to put another parallel over here to hold the V block. So the first thing I do is find the center of it. You got to put a center finder in there. Right there. So we're going to go 1/2. That should be dead center. So now what I'm going to do is cut this 3/16 slot through here. That's this slot here, right across. 3/16 inch wide, and the depth is 280, just like I did the bore. Touch it off. Get it over here. Come down 20. See what 20 does. Just taking light cuts here, I'm not in a rush. So now I'm going to go to a wider end mill and take the sides off and leave the 2 tabs. Actually the 4 tabs. So now I got to come in here and leave, I think, a 1/16 of an inch for the width of that. And I'm going to do that by eye and then measure it as I go. So now I'm going to measure that and see where I'm at, how much more I got to take off. I'm going to leave 62 thousandths. Right now we got 95. So I got to take off about 30. Measure it again, I'm getting close. That's 72, so I got to take off 10. Okay, that's actually, see, that's under a 1. 61, but that's close enough. And now I'm going to come down a little bit more to take that edge out of there. Time to measure thousandths again, so I got just under 30 to go, 28 to go. That should be within 4. Let's see what happens. Yep, that's just about right, actually. But I got to go in here all the way through that to finish that slot. So what happens is the governor weight arm, the arm that holds the governor ball, fits in there and goes down beyond here. So that slot has to be continued on down to there. Should have just put that other 3/16 back in there when I had it lined up and gone in depth-wise. So now I got to get that vertical again, which isn't too difficult. But now we got it vertical. I'm going to put the 3/16 end mill back in and cut a slot in there. I'm lined up on that. You see what my mistake was? After I cut this slot, I should have extended that down and did the slot vertically instead of horizontally like I'm doing it now. This is all another setup. Getting very close to the bottom there. Be careful. Okay, just going down till I hit the round part below it. I can cut into that a little bit, but I don't want to cut into it a lot. There it is. It's just clipping it now. I'll show you that in the camera when I take it out. Okay. So you can see that I went right into touch the round part in that this cut here. So it's that's good, but I could have done it vertically with the end mill this way and just gone in and touched that. And I think it would have been okay, and if it wasn't, you could file it square afterwards. But now I got another setup to make the other side. Square it. And there it is, finished. Now the next project is to put the 2 holes in here while it's still something I can grab onto fairly easy. I'm going to mark off those holes and drill them through. Put some bluing on there, and now I'm going to mark it for the holes. So the first line we're going to make is the 093 line from the end here in. Okay. Now we got to get the holes marked this way. So it comes out to be 94 thousandths. I'm just going to prick punch those spots and drill them in the drill press. I'm just going to put it up on top here and slide this piece onto it, so I have some support for those little ears when I prick punch them. I have to spot drill them first. Make sure they go in the center. So this calls for a 5/64 hole through there. So I'm going to start the cut on this in the lathe, but I'm not going to go in all the way. Sometimes you can break a parting tool going in that deep, so I just saw it off in the saw and then face it afterwards. So I'm going to take here, you got to leave a 1/16. Can be a little more than a 1/16. It's not fussy. I'm going to start that in, and then I'm going to put it in the saw. It's a little wider than the other one. I'm going to tin it down a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is stick it on one of these Chinese arbors and put it back in the lathe and face the back side. Now, I don't know if any of you have bought these, but 90% of them, there's only about 3 threads grabbing, and the first time you use them, you can strip them if you tighten them too tight. Well, what I did is I took all of mine and I re-drilled them and tapped them with SAE threads. And so now I got a standard screw, a standard Allen wrench that'll fit it. And they work real nice now. I went in quite a bit deeper with the thread. And what I found out, they don't even drill the hole straight. When you run a drill in there, it'll start wobbling around because the hole is crooked inside of those. But it doesn't really matter, because once you make these screws, this is just a standard Allen screw, and I put it in the lathe and tapered the head so it would fit that taper. And they work great. Now the next thing we have to do is do the feature on here. Now you just take away some of this side. It doesn't matter the shape of it or anything, but in order to put the spring in there, you have to take some of this off. So they show you a whole bunch of radiuses and so forth on there, but it's not critical. It's just to get it down, the diameter down, so you can get a hold of that spring. And what shape it is, it doesn't really matter. But it looks better if you do a good job on it. In order to draw this radius on here, I need a center. So all I'm going to do is put this in the lathe and center drill a tiny spot on this and then saw it off. And I can insert it in there and I'll have my center back. I'm just touching that with a center drill, the spotting drill. And now I'm going to part that off of there, make it about 300 thousandths long. Okay, now I have a center back again, so I get a pair of dividers here. They show a line here, but so that's 15/16. So of course you want the radius here, and they give you the diameter, so you have to divide it by half. So it comes out to 468 for a radius. I'm going to set this at 468. I'm just going to do this with a caliper. It's not critical at all. And I can mark those two radiuses on there. Like that. And now, this is the tough one. They're showing you a radius here. They show you a 1/2 inch radius. I don't think that that's a 1/2 inch radius. It looks to me like it's quite a bit more. But what I'm going to do is just take a washer and lay it on there and mark it with the washer. So this would be a 1/2 inch radius, which they're showing you there. You can see it doesn't match at all, I don't think. It's because that's a 1 inch washer. But I'm going to use it anyway. And it's just a reference line. Like I said, this doesn't have to be totally symmetrical. It just has to look symmetrical. I'm just going to lay that washer on there. I use an X-Acto tool to mark this because it's easier to mark with something that's round. Like that. I gotta be left-handed here. So I just got some rough lines on there, and what I'm going to do is just take it over to the sander and sand all that off and make it look symmetrical. But the dimension doesn't matter at all. It's just this, the spring goes in this slot, and you need to be able to get at the spring to hook the two ends together. And how this looks really doesn't matter as long as it looks good. So what I did is I ground down to the first line that I made, and you come out with this shape. And now, the next thing, to make that feature here, you're going to cut in here by eye, basically, and make that rounded. But like I said, this is only for aesthetics. It's not, if you left it just like this, it would be fine. So you can see how I formed that. So I just have to copy that on all the other three. You can see the basic shape is there. I'll touch it up a little bit with a file, but that's, once you put the balls on this and get it on there, you won't see any difference. It's just done by eye. I do. This one needs a little more sanding. Not quite deep enough. So there it is, all finished. This is the side that you see. This is the part that you don't see. So this goes into the engine with the two weights, so you don't see this side of it. This is the only side you have to finish off real nice. So the next thing we have to make is this little spool here, which is very simple. It has a 3/32 slot on two sides, and it's out of, what is this? 5/8 diameter, either anything actually, whatever you made your governor out of, you can make it steel or brass, whichever. Now this has to have a slide fit on the shaft because it moves back and forth. So I'm going to ream it one over. Just going to check that to make sure it's a loose fit on the crankshaft. Should slide right in there nice. Yep. So I had to grind this cutoff tool down to 0.93. But I didn't have a 3/32 one. Hey, the print shows this 437 wide, which isn't a critical dimension. So I'm going to go over 437 and mark it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go 440. That heck with a 337. That's where we're going to part it off, right there. And now, I'm going to come 0.93, which is the width of the cutter. That should be lined up there. And then I got to go another 30 thousandths. Right there. And how deep are they? So they're 3/32 deep and 30 seconds in from the edge, 30 thousandths in from the edge. So we're going to go in there until we touch, and then we're going to go in 0.93. There's one. We're going to come back to this side, and we're going to go 30 thousandths over. Back 30. Same thing. I'm going to take the sharp edges off it here. There's the spool. Just got to clean the burrs off it, and we got it. That's how they go on the shaft. I don't know if you can see it in the light here, but this has to fit so it slides back and forth really easy. And this is going to have a screw hole in it, threaded. We'll do that now to put it on to the shaft. It's calling for a 632 set screw in there, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to just center drill it first. Now we'll take it and tap it. buffing, I'm going to take it over the buffing wheel and make it round it off a little bit and polish it up. What I did there is just put a little chamfer on the front side of this and rounded the tops off it like it shows in the print. That concludes number 18. And next week we're going to make these the governor tension spring, the governor weight arms, and we've already made the spool. And I don't think we have to show the pins, but this is a little complicated part, so we'll show that and see if we can slip something else in there too. So thank you for watching, and please give us a thumbs up. That helps us a lot. And subscribe to the channel.